everyone. Welcome back to the Genetic Genius Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Lulu. Get ready for a life-changing experience on this week's episode of the Genetic Genius. Join us as we delve into topics that will challenge your thoughts and equip you with the tools to create a fulfilling life filled with health, joy, and abundance. Don't forget your notebook because Suzy Ashworth is joining us to share her secrets on becoming an infinite receiver. Suzy is a single mom of 3, best-selling author, speaker, and successful coach. She has inspired thousands of leaders to create positive change in their lives and businesses. With a mission to raise humanity's vibration, she'll be sharing her insights on accessing the frequency of infinite receiving. Recognized by Forbes, Grazia, and the BBC, Suzy's work has made a significant impact on the planet. I'm so excited for our guest today, Miss Suzy Ashworth. We're going to be talking all about how to activate your life for intimate receiving and quantum living. Welcome, Suzy.
Hey, I am really excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Lulu.
You're so welcome. Before we dive deep into the quantum world and intimate, I can't say that word very well today. Infinite. I want to say intimate receiving, maybe because that's Valentine's Day coming up. Maybe that's why.
The thing is, I feel like we want to get intimate with the principles of infinite receiving today. So that feels perfect.
Yes, I think you're exactly right. And so before we dive into that topic, let's hear a little bit about you, your passions on the planet. How did you get to be started in your life, about what you're doing now? And just so we can get to know you a little bit better. I know that's probably a lot, but maybe, a little summary.
I'll try and condense it. This is going to be my 10th year in business this year, which feels absolutely wild when I think about it, because when I started, I didn't have a vision that a decade out, I would be running a global, multiple 7-figure business, helping people around the world. That wasn't really the intention. The intention was that I just did something that lit my soul on fire so that I could say to my son, who wasn't even born at that point. I just found out that I was pregnant, but I immediately knew that I wanted to be able to say to him, you can do anything that you want. And I wanted to be able to say that with integrity. I wanted to be able to say that with authenticity. And that was really the seed. He was the seed that planted the idea that I needed to change what I was doing, which at the time was working for a national newspaper selling advertising space. And so I retrained a couple of years later as a hypnotherapist and psychotherapist. I set up the world's first video-based hypnobirthing program. I taught parents how to have calm and positive births all around the world. I got a book deal with Hay House. And at the same time, birth professionals were asking me, how are you doing this? How did you do this? How did you build your business online? What's going on? And I started mentoring people who worked with parents and babies, and I loved it. And it was interesting to me. The crossover was huge. I would ask people, what is your intention? What is your vision? And then I would give them the tools that they needed to master in order to move beyond their fears, move beyond their limitations, move beyond the things that they didn't know, so that they could create the type of experience that they desired. And I started doing that in people's businesses. And 10 years later, here we are.
It's amazing. Yes, really like that the beginning of your story started like with a birth, right? You were birthing your own business, which you didn't even really realize what was going to happen with it, where it is now today, but also the birth of your son, just really helping to ignite the vision of what you wanted to be as a mother, what you wanted to be on the place of the planet, what was your vision for helping others. And it's really evolved over the past 10 years. We're going to be talking about that today. And thank you for sharing that. And you can really hear the passion and love for not only that you have for yourself and for your son, but also for what you do, which is so important about living a wonderful quantum life.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's talk about quantum living first. Let's lay that kind of like groundwork for what it means. I'd love to hear your definition of what that means, because I think people, it's such an interesting word. It comes from that physics perspective, right? But now we're really integrating it into our own individual life as a way to, I like to see it as a way to have multiple facets of our life happening at the same time. And I'd love to hear like your thought process behind that.
Yeah, so for me, quantum living is the acknowledgement of our multi-dimensional way of being
Mm.
as human beings. And so we have our very tangible, physical human selves, and then we have our energetic selves. And it is the recognition and the acknowledgement that actually, even though we can't see it, the energetic part of ourself is way bigger and actually has such a huge role to play when it comes to us living into our fullest potentials as humans. So for me, quantum living is really about living into our fullest potential by utilizing both our humanness and our energetic selves.
I love that. And I really think that people are moving into this place of thought where they're even recognizing what their energetic selves are. Because even if we look back 10 years ago, I think maybe you and I in our worlds, but a lot of the planet as a totality was not even aware of that energetic self look like or integrating it into their everyday life. But now, especially with the pandemic, I think we're moving at this way different pace, right? Where we're seeing the different things. People are reaching out for ways to shift and change their life.
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, when I think about my business, so much changed because of the pandemic. And I remember this sense of panic and fear within my clients and this not knowing what to do. And up until that point, I had always taught mindset and marketing. And at the beginning, March 2020, when everybody was like, what the heck is happening? I knew that it was just my job to hold everything down and be a really firm anchor and just keep everybody feeling reassured. But the kind of middle of April time, I got a sense that my role was changing. There was an invitation for me to do something different. And I took a 3-day digital detox and was really quiet. And what came through for me was now is the time actually to move away from the strategy, move away from the blueprint, and help people really connect with themselves spiritually and energetically, and see how that supports people in creating the tangible results that they're looking for, 5K month, 10K month, whatever it is, in their businesses. And I came up with a program called The Gateway, which was really about introducing the quantum conversation and what it means and what it had meant for me up until that point. And it was the first time that I taught anything without any business content. And so there was a part of me that felt very nervous, and at the same time it just felt so aligned and so what people needed, because there was so much fear. And I think that when you are able to connect with yourselves, your higher selves, your spiritual self, your energetic self, there's an opening that happens where the fear of the mind and what is happening in the physical takes less present. I won't say that it completely disappears, but is less present. And I knew that it was my job to help people feel less fearful. And when you know that there are no limitations on what it is that you can create as an individual, that's exciting. It's not scary.
Oh, totally. Yes. I love that you brought into fear into the conversation, because I think when we're talking about from that health perspective, a lot of people have that fear current, right? Moving through their life at all moments, right? Where they're just like in that chronic disease state. They can't even imagine what it's like to get out of it. And then we see that through all the aspects of our other life, with the energetic, like you said, through the physical aspect, through our business, through as women with this amazing power that we have behind us, with all these different things that are being brought forward from all the years behind us. We're bringing that baggage forward. And when we have that suitcase of fear, how do we open it up, so to speak, to adopt the new infinite receiver mentality, to really start to receive a way for us to open the suitcase, go through the dirty laundry and bring in the new things? And let's talk about kind of like what that piece is, but also what is it? Maybe we need to talk first about what does it mean even to be an infinite receiver?
Yeah. What's interesting is that the deeper into this work that I go, and I really feel that communicating the philosophy and the message of infinite receiving is my life's work, it becomes more and more nuanced. And I suppose the first kind of marker in the sand is to acknowledge that everybody is receiving infinitely all of the time. Whether you have any awareness of what it is that I'm about to speak about or not, you are receiving. If you're listening to this podcast right now, you are receiving downloads, you are receiving the transmission. When you walk out of your home and the sun is shining, you are receiving those codes. When you listen to your children speaking, you are receiving those codes. It's like we are receiving all of the time. Now, there's something happens when we consciously decide that we are going to amplify and optimize the quality of what it is that we receive. And that's the first distinction. Yes, we are all infinitely receiving, but when you start to consciously choose what it is that you would like to receive, a whole new world gets to be opened up to you. And through just really looking at my life, actually, it started with me, and then looking at my clients, what I realized is that for the people who are fully activated in this way of thinking and living, there are 4 key components. And the first component, the first pillar of this is understanding that you are both a generator and a conduit for infinite love. And when we talk about fear, the antidote to fear, all fear at all times, in all ways, is love.
Totally.
And
yes.
that's really where the journey, when I talk about these pillars, nothing is linear. Everything can be taken on its own. But for me, everything starts with love.
And that's such a great, such a great topic for this month too, with Valentine's, of course, being like the underlying theme, I think, for a lot of people thinking about what love is to them and what's their definition of love and what is self-love and self-worth.
Yeah, exactly. Because it starts with, it's very easy for us to be distracted with what is going on externally. It's very easy for us to feel like if only I was just loved enough, then I would be okay. If only my mother loved me more, if only my father loved me more, if only I had the perfect partner, then I would feel okay. And actually, what we are shown again and again, and people who have been in many serial relationships will testify to this, is that, isn't it interesting that even though we meet people that love us so dearly, that something is never quite right. And so we have to then move on to the next relationship and find that something also isn't quite right. And it can't be us, it's got to be them.
Yes, exactly. Yes, we always want to blame the other person besides really going deep inside and looking at ourselves, which I think is deeper work, right? We just can have a blinders on or switch and have the rose-colored glasses, even where everything looks beautiful on the outside, but it's a total turmoil on the inside.
Exactly. And I think that the things, that turmoil on the inside will always ultimately be reflected externally. And you see it with people's health. I see it in people's businesses, in people's lives, and I've seen it in my own life. And so the journey for me always starts with love and what it means to really deeply fall in love with yourself. And this is, in my opinion, a lifetime's work, because, and I don't know what the average age of your listeners are, but at 44 years old, this is me, I have spent many years denying parts of myself because I felt ashamed of them, because I felt fearful of them, because I felt that they would not be accepted, that they were not acceptable. And part of this journey of allowing myself to feel worthy and deserving and whole and complete and enough to receive what it is that I desire starts with bringing piece by piece of those things back into my life and allowing them to take their rightful place at the table with all of the parts of me that are apparently acceptable. And that work in and of it, without anything else, if you just committed each day to noticing where you try to silence yourself out of fear, where you try to just take a little bit of the edge off to be more acceptable for people, and start questioning that and start asking yourself, am I willing to allow that part of me to be present? Can I love myself anyway, even if other people don't accept this piece of the way that I think or the way that I feel? Can I be okay with that? That in and of itself is a very powerful act of self-love, and it comes from self-acceptance.
Yeah, that's huge, because I think, and I like what you described too, is that setting the table. It just made me have this visualization of just all these dishes out on the front of the table that you can choose from and pick, and which is the one that you're like, I'm not really ready to have that delicious chocolate cake today because I have all those pieces around how I would feel if I ate it, or what would people think of me if I ate it, or what is it going to do to me and my body shape and the way I look to others. I just had this whole image of, oh, maybe I need to set some table, this amazing buffet ahead of me. And what am I going to pick and choose in my life? What am I going to allow myself to receive from the buffet of life?
Yeah, because it's so rich, but frequently you can't even get to the table because you're blocking yourself.
Really? Yes. Yes. And when we're looking at those blocks, are there certain areas of our life where we're like more likely to limit ourselves or block that receiving? And then how do we identify those areas if we're in that place of fear, and can we even see those blocks in front of us?
Yeah. So I think that money is a very common one. I think that intimate relationship and sex is another one. Money, sex, health is another one.
Yeah.
The big three
The
would
big
be,
three, exactly.
yeah, super common areas. One of the other pillars of receiving infinite receiving, is knowing your infinite greatness. And that is where that piece of the puzzle fits in. I think that when we are a baby, if we're lucky, if we've chosen the right caregivers, and it's not even chosen the right caregivers, because we learn lessons in every single experience. And so even if we've had incredibly tough starts to our lives, and as somebody who was fostered from the age of 3 months old, I've worked a lot with the feelings and the emotions of myself as a baby, and then my interpretation of those feelings and emotions that were pre-conscious, like before my mind had fully formed, how that played out for me as a young child, teenager, in my adult relationships, and even in my own relationship with my own children. So
Totally.
I say none of that lightly, but as a baby, if we're lucky, every single need, we cry and every single need is met, and we revel in being the center of not just our own universe, but the center of everybody's universe. And culturally, that is acceptable and is what is supposed to, in inverted commas, is supposed to be like that. When we get to around the age of 2, our most parents being regular human beings, are bloody tired of you being the center of everything. And it no longer feels socially acceptable when you say, I want to just say yes. We have to be trained into fitting in with cultural and societal norms. And it's at that point for many people that we start to get, our sense of greatness starts to get chipped away. And we learn that if we fall into line, if we do the thing that our parents want for us, if we do the thing that our caregivers want from us, then we'll be good enough. But if we veer away from that, we're not acceptable, we're not lovable. And so this idea that we are great, it becomes smaller and smaller. We try to tie ourselves up in a pretzel. If I look like this, if I do it this way, if I please this person, then I'm great. And the journey that we go on once we have this awareness of, oh my goodness, I can't be my full authentic self if I'm having to tie myself up in a pretzel and only adhere to the needs of everybody else in my life. Once we have that awareness, that's then when the work starts to unravel all of the places where we've been chipping away at ourselves, so that we're able to remember that our unique fingerprint can never be replicated. And that in and of itself is absolutely is needed, is important, is valuable. That uniqueness is exactly why we are here, because it cannot be replicated by anybody else. And that in and of itself, without any certificates, without anything else, is great. And so coming back to that on a day-to-day basis is absolutely part of us recognizing that we, again, are worthy, we are whole, we are enough. And when we get to that place, we can start to then choose externally. There are a couple of other pillars, but it's that fullness that we're looking to really embody.
Yes, totally. And when we're looking at that, like what you said about the fingerprint, like that kind of like blueprint of ourselves. And when we lose that piece of ourselves, we lose the uniqueness. Is it become like a fuzzy cloud around us? Are we walking like this in this haze of not knowing, not understanding, not like believing in our own uniqueness? And then how do we get that back? What's the steps to re-acknowledging our uniqueness? Because I think a lot of, even from the health perspective, right, it's like I think that people in that uniqueness, they get stamped with a specific disease, right? Whether that's, let's say it's Hashimoto's, they get the stamp and it almost feels unique to them, right? Because I stand out now. I have this stamp of uniqueness, but it's really just a shroud, right? A cover of hiding their trueness, their uniqueness. And so from that business perspective, from that really infinite receiving perspective, how does that uniqueness then stand out as a way of realness, of truth, of reality?
Yeah. I think that often it's looking for your bliss points. It's looking for the things that really create joy within you. And what was interesting when we met, Lulu, we were in Costa Rica, right?
Yes, in June of last year, which is crazy. It seems like so long ago, but yesterday.
Yeah. And what was interesting about observing you in that space, and I felt like you were having lots of breakthroughs, is that there was just a huge, like, it was overflowing with joy, being in service, you being very present to the moment. And as you allowed yourself to be in the moment, you were getting the downloads, you were getting the guidance, you were getting the ideas.
Yes.
And then it's the following through. It's allowing yourself to follow through on the nudges.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
So it's finding the places where you feel joyful and will either ignite the remembrance of what it is that you are here to do, what it is that lights you up, or will lead you to the next place that will ignite the remembrance or open a door where you're like, oh my goodness. But what I find is most true is, rather than people being like something just falling out of the sky, falling out of just like coming out of the blue for them, oh, like that they've never known, often that greatness is something that they buried when they were a child.
Yes. Yeah. They like
Yeah.
had that one moment like, I've always wanted to be this XYZ. And then it's, oh, you'll never be that. You'll never achieve that. And it just gets us down deeper and deeper into the depths of our lives.
Yeah. And I think that one of the things that really freed me up around this, because I think of like the artists, the actors, the singers, we grow up in a society that says, unless you are the best, you are not valuable. So unless you're getting Grammys, unless you're as good as Beyonce, why are you even going to bother? And one of my mentors, the lovely Melanie Ann Layer, she shares something about not needing to be one of the best, but being one of the greats and allowing yourself to show up and do your best work and allowing yourself to not need to be number one, but really being happy with knowing that the more of yourself you can be, I say the more full of yourself you can be, the greater you become. And in that space of greatness, you become one of the greats. So we're no longer playing this zero-sum game. You no longer have to be better than Beyonce in order to bother trying. You just have to commit to being your best self and loving the fact that gets to be great enough for you to be one of the greats. And so there's so much permission given in that.
Yes.
That really creates spaciousness for people to lean into the thing that really gave them joy when they were a kid, the thing that they always wanted to do, the thing that they always wanted to try. It's also knowing that maybe the thing that you always wanted to do as a kid isn't the thing that you're supposed to be making money from. And you can still lean into it. You can still create joy. You can still have massive impact on a global level or an individual level or on a local community level. And that be exactly what your heart is asking you to do.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And that child piece, I think, is so important from the living your dream, living your truth, living that bliss. I like how you brought that into the conversation too. And also then when we're talking about the piece about health, there's always that stem, that trauma piece when I investigate deeper into a patient's relationship. It's how was your relationship with your parents around your health? How was it around the food that you ate? How was it around the way that you treated yourself? And a lot of especially with food, I think food is so huge. I'll have patients say, oh yeah, I was given this as a reward for every time I did something. It's like I was given candy, or I have had patients who like, I had to go and be in a closet if I didn't eat the right food. It's like extreme, like those are totally different sides of the coin. But I think when we're looking at that place of how we were nurtured as children for our visions of who we are today, we have to look at all the pieces. And like you said, we might not be, I always wanted to be a flight attendant when I was a kid, and then I'm way too short for that. So I like knocked that out of the ball game, but I love to travel. And so I've worked that in a way into my own life as a way to find the joy instead of it being like working as a flight attendant, which is a very hard job. I'm glad I didn't sign up for that one.
No, I totally get it. I was the performer. I used to do the plays and I would do the amateur dramatics, and I absolutely loved it. And what I've done is create a business where I get to speak and play and dance and sing and do all of that performing on stages around the world. I wasn't supposed to be Beyonce. I was supposed to allow my creativity to shine through in the work that I do. And it feels so amazing that I have been able to create a business using those important gifts to me.
Yes. And that's such an important piece about using the gifts to move yourself, or not move yourself, but to like transplant into that quantum piece, right? On that different pathway of ourselves and that quantum living piece, like having the whole package complete with the bows and the ribbons and the gold and the sparkles, all the pieces that you're like, that you found in through your life? Like, I love to create timelines and see what pieces on my own timeline were the big sparks of my life. And then how can I integrate that back into what I'm doing now to help others? And I like how you brought that piece in about like speaking on a stage, because I love to speak to others about health. And if I look back, like in my life, I was doing different things, like a DJ on a radio station and still like talking, but in a different way, and sharing about the love and the passion of my life with others. I'm still doing it, just in a different way.
And the thing is, because I pull in all of those pieces, that's what makes me so unique in my coaching world, because there are so many people who are talking about similar-ish things. And if I was trying to be the same as everybody else, that no standout, there's no visibility there. But because I allow my own unique transmissions to come through and present those in ways that are absolutely unique to me, that's what has created the success. That is what has allowed me to receive infinitely.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so huge. And when we're thinking about the infinite receiving, how do we, let's look at it like from the planetary perspective. How do we then transmit or help others around us with that particular piece on the planet? Because I think a lot of people are in this place of, like we were discussing earlier, that fear place about able to receive the abundance of the universe and being able to show the people in their community what it's like to give and receive, just in with your neighbors. We're such in a different realm. Even when we were kids, I grew up on a street where I played with everybody. We gave food to our neighbors. And now it just seems it's so different where I live. And how do we then show our own community a place of this infinite receiving as a place of joy and bliss?
I honestly feel like this philosophy is the answer to world peace. Like, I really genuinely, genuinely do. And I think that before we are able to give, though, one of the other pillars, a third pillar, is the pillar of infinite support. And that is recognizing that we are being infinitely supported in every step that we take. That's the first part. And I mean that from a spiritual and energetic perspective. And then also, one of the things that blocks people from receiving so much is feeling like they are unable to ask for support. They're not able to ask for what it is that they actually want and need from the people around them, or again, universally. And a big part of the practice is you feel a lot safer when you know that you're being held, when you know that somebody has got your back.
Yeah.
And from a very simple, like, meditation practice where you anchor into the earth's energies and you anchor into the sky's energies and know that you are being supported by both the heavens and the earth at every single second of the day, that in and of itself is calming to the nervous system. We're looking to calm the nervous system at all costs.
Right.
So that, and then being willing to ask, and then noticing, allowing yourself to receive the support. One of the exercises I always get people to do is have a think about your life and have a think about, where do you have somebody who desires to support you, but you're blocking them because of your ego, because you're hurt, you've been hurt by them in the past, because you're afraid of being let down, because you're running a script that if you don't do it, nobody's going to do it, because there's a little bit of victim and a little bit of martyr going on. So you need to do it all so you can prove how busy you are, how tired you are. There is at least one person in everybody's life who wants to help them more. And it is our job to allow them in. If you are in the position where you are unable to think of one person who wants to help you, I say, just turn up the volume a little bit louder on this podcast, because that one person is me. And in fact, there's two of us sat here right now. So me and Dr. Lulu, we want to help you. This is why we are having this conversation. And so when you can start to look at your life in this way, again, you're activating a deeper level of receiving, which then, when it comes to being the person who is able to support others, you have so much more room in the tank because you feel fueled yourself, because you're allowing yourself to be supported. I cannot give to you if I'm constantly on burnout. I cannot give to you if I don't allow anybody to help me. So when I feel most supported, that's when I'm able to give support. But I think there's something else that happens energetically, particularly with these three pillars when they're all in activation, and that is our own field becomes more magnetic. And so not only is it easier for us to co-create with the universe, that's the fourth pillar, but there's something that radiates from us. And so we know people that when you meet them, they don't need to say anything to you. You are just automatically drawn to these people. You want to be in their space. You want to be in their company. And when you are radiating from that position and you have a higher level of consciousness about why this is happening, you're being the model to everybody else in your community. People start asking you, what's different about you? Something about, have you been to the hairdresser? Have you cut your hair? Like,
did you dye your hair?
There's something, what's going on? And that's the opening. I'm just focused more on being nice to myself, say nice things to myself. I appreciate who I am. I'm spending more time loving. What's she saying?
What wait,
now?
can you repeat that? I didn't quite get it. Yeah.
Our job is not to pull people along, but to be the model. And then from the modeling of, gosh, I love myself so deeply, this creates this space in me to be a conduit for more love. We start to create this infinite loop of giving and receiving when it comes to love with everybody that we are interacting with. People feel it. It changes them, actually, even without the conversation. People who are ready for the conversation will ask you about it, but it changes people just by you being in their space.
Yes, it does.
This is quite extraordinary. And when you combine this with conscious co-creation, which is the fourth pillar, really knowing that as soon as we have the idea, as soon as we have the desire for the thing, energetically, it's there. Einstein said that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It means that all of the thoughts that ever were and all of the thoughts that are ever going to be are all in the universe now. There is nothing that you can conceive of that the energetic property isn't already in the universe. So it's like, when you know this, there is no need for greed. There is no need for stealing. There is no need for, oh, they've got this and that's mine. You can create it. You have the power to align to the energetic frequency of the thing that you desire. If people really understood that, if people really knew that they had the power to do that, and they're coming from this place of infinite love, this conduit generating, they're self-generators of love that is so vast that it's overflowing and touches every single person that they come into contact with. If you really know that that you're great, you no longer need to compare yourself to others. You no longer need to feel inferior. You no longer have to feel guilty about who you are or who you love or what it is that you desire. And you feel completely and utterly supported by both the heavens and the earth. You are empowered to ask people to give you what it is that you need in order to thrive, and then have enough left in the tank to be able to return that. Why do we need war? That's an incredible place.
Yeah, it's huge. Huge place. It's huge.
This is that. I think I answered your question in a very long and roundabout way.
No, you totally did, Suzy. Yes, you did. And I think that when I'm thinking about all those pieces that you were just discussing, an underlying thought that surfaces for me is why with women, I feel like with women, we have come into this place of it's so challenging for us to ask for support, to put it out there. I think with the surgence of the feminist movement, we had to be strong and show that no matter what, we could do anything. And now for a little bit, I think it's biting us in the face, so to speak. Not that I totally approve of us being strong and being out there and empowered, but at the same time, it's like, what happened to the support system that we had running through our communities, being able to ask the person who is a healer next to us for help, or ask our neighbor for like, hey, could you make me dinner tonight? I'm just burned out. And so when we're thinking about that support from the female perspective, and we're it's that divine feminine and divine masculine coming together as one place, how do we then channel that place of support to, I guess, to really like empower women for 2023? Like you not that you want to ask the support is one thing, but like you deserve the support. I guess that's more, how does that start to become the water that we drink?
I want to say it's not even around deserving. I want to say that it's safe for you to be fully supported.
Yes.
And I think that for many of us, certainly my own story, being fostered at such a young age, that was my first heartbreak at 3 months old.
Yeah.
I was with my mum and then she was gone. I was with my dad and then he was gone. And so what I learned was that the world is not a safe place and you need to protect yourself because people will let you down. And that, honestly, it's only really a couple of years ago that I realized that that script was the reason that I didn't ask for support in any areas. I let people in enough for them to feel like, oh, happy go
just a little bit, open the door a little bit.
Yeah. But when it came down to it, I felt that I needed to carry it all on me. It's safer that way. And so being vulnerable, and it is vulnerable to say that I would like help, is a huge deal. But I ask myself the question, like, do I want to live into my fullest potential? And if you answer yes to that question, then I'm telling you that you have to allow yourself to be supported. And so the first step to this is really looking at your own stories. Where are you? And you can start. So first of all, looking at your own stories, ask yourself, where doesn't it feel safe? When you look at your recent past, where hasn't it felt safe? And then my invitation is to challenge yourself to ask and expect help. Now, the reality is, depending on the system that you have created around yourself,
your tape loop,
you may be met with a huge amount of resistance, and that gets to be okay. That doesn't mean that there isn't support out there. It means that the system that you've created isn't used to you needing the support. So it's being willing to stay with that. The other thing that I want to encourage people to do on a very basic level, when somebody says, can I get the door for you? Say, yes, please. And somebody says, can I take your bags for you? Say, yes, please.
Yes.
When people start asking you if they can do things for you, I want you to notice how quickly you go to say no and how quickly you can actually just allow yourself to be like, yeah, that would be really lovely. And you just want to start stretching that muscle.
Yeah.
It's a muscle. It's safe for me to be supported. And what I find, particularly with women, is that especially if you own your own business, the business is the first place where it becomes easier to ask for support. And intimate relationship is often the hardest place where it is to allow yourself to be supported. And then you've got intimate relationships. So that might be your parents, it might be your partner. Then you also have sexually. And that is probably the most challenging place to allow yourself to fully surrender and be fully supported by your partner. And so I share this with you. So one, you don't beat yourself up. Two, you know that it's a process. And as you get better in one area, you can give yourself permission to just explore what that gets to look like in the other areas too.
Yes, that's so true, Suzy. And I like the circle of that infinite receiving and support, right? Where we can see it and just the stretching that support muscle. I love that visualization, because I think just opening just a little bit. And I myself, I had a car accident in the beginning of January with my husband and myself, and I had to change completely everything I had in my vision for 2023 for January. It's just like, okay, I have to just let everything go and just be, and I think that the universe is sending me a huge message. Like, you have to take it slow. You have to open the door of receiving. Like, I have all this self-care happening with myself. And I'm like, okay, how can I help my patients see that in the same way? Open the door to that receiving. If someone wants to bring me dinner over because I'm so tired, yeah, I need that. Thank you so much. And I noticed within myself that I was working too hard and pushing myself to the place of not letting the support in. And the universe says, okay, here you go. You got to slow down. I'm like, all right, I can do that for January.
I'm open to that.
I'm open to that. And I love it. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yes. As we're approaching the end of our conversation, Suzy, I know we could talk forever. I know we could talk for hours, but I want to be aware of our time together. And I have a couple more things as we're wrapping up. Tell us about, you have some amazing workshops coming up, and I want you to talk about those. And so one is the wealth expansion. Tell us about that and what's all about that and how people can find it and sign up.
Yes. So wealth expansion is one of my new babies. And one of the things that I love to work with women on, people in general, but especially women, is receiving more. Money is one area of wealth that I like to focus on, but really I want to help people create wealthy lives. And so the wealth expansion experience is about helping people activate and amplify wealth across all areas of their life, including money.
Yes.
And it's a 4-day workshop that starts actually on Friday the 13th. It is all virtual, and it is the 13th of February. So this Friday, and yeah, it's all virtual. All of the recordings, all of the sessions are recorded. So if you can't make them live, then you will be able to come back and catch them at your own leisure. And it's just a really incredible experience.
Yay. So February the 13th is Monday.
Okay, so
I just want to make sure we know we say the right date.
Friday the 10th is when we kick off.
Okay, Friday the 10th. Yes. Awesome. Okay.
And then
Friday, February 10th.
Yeah, and then the final session is on Thursday the 16th of February. Thank you.
Good. You're welcome. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, my Valentine's Day is Saturday. I just had this whole like, oh my gosh, I'm not prepared. Okay, perfect. So that people can sign up for that. We'll have the link in the show notes for everybody to find out and sign up. It sounds amazing, Suzy. And tell us about, you have a live event happening, the live event Quantum Shift, and tell us about that one.
I do. The live event is happening in London at an incredible venue. I know in the States you have the Emmys. In the UK we have the BAFTAs, and we've hired the BAFTA venue. So it's in the middle of London, it's in Piccadilly, and it's a full day live experience. And it's really for people who are looking to make a massive shift either in their business or in their lives. One is all about the art and science of transformation, what keeps people stuck and how to really bust through that. Day 2, we're talking about activating your receiving muscle and accelerating the pace at which you're able to receive. And day 3 is all about activating your wealth frequency. So we are going deep for a full day, all on money specifically. If any of those areas are speaking to you, then you should absolutely come and play with me in London.
Yay! I so want to be there.
Yeah, it's my favorite way to teach.
Yay! Fly over the pond. I'll be there.
I'll do it.
Yes, totally. And you also have a freebie for an activation. And tell us a little bit about that activation.
Yeah, this is just to work with you subconsciously on your receiving frequency. So This is an infinite receiving activation. Super simple. All you need to do before you go to bed is just plug it in and let me do the rest of the work.
Awesome. I love that. That's great. Yay. Thank you for sharing all those things. And then now tell us how we can find you and follow you and stalk you lovingly.
Yes. So my website is suzyashworth.com, and I hang out all of the time on Instagram. So Suzy, SUZY_Ashworth. Come and say hello, especially if you enjoyed this episode. I would love to meet you.
Yes. And you have your own podcast too, don't you?
I do. It's the Infinite Receiving Podcast.
Yay! So people can
bite-sized
find that.
tips. Yes. If you
Yes.
liked this chat, then you should come over there because there's a lot more of that.
Great. I love it. And one last question as we're wrapping up today. If you had an infinite amount of abundance from the universe, what would you do to make the biggest impact on the planet?
Wow. I would focus on getting this message out to infinitely more people. You know,
Yes.
the biggest stages on the world, bringing people together to really, tap into the infinite receiving frequency.
I love it. That's ding. We can totally do that. That one. I think that's infinite possibilities of making that happen. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Suzy. I really loved our conversation, and I can't wait to share it with the world.
Thank you so much for having me. Take care.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.